weekend was a big event. My daughter got married, but more importantly, I went from 8 subscribers to 10, which was a couple of, I think, nice young ladies at the wedding. And so to celebrate this incredible achievement, I'm going to make sourdough bread. I've been doing that over the last few days, and it's really, really nice. It's quite an interesting thing, sourdough. What a lot of people do is they have a great big bucket of sourdough starter, but you know, if you're a professional baker, you're changing that every day. But if you're an amateur baker, I can't really cope with a massive bucket of stinky gaseous sourdough. And so what I do is I have a little jam jar, a little magic jam jar in the fridge, and I have just a tiny bit of sourdough in here. And if you put this in the fridge, it lasts a really long time, but it's still alive. And what I did this time anyway, and I think I'll do again, is you just take a pretty small amount of this, yesterday, the day before, and you put it into a large quantity of flour and water. Now this is 50% water, 50% flour. So that's called 100% hydration. That's what it's called, yeah. And you leave it for a full day, and it starts to just ferment like crazy. You can see the bubbles, can't you? Come on, I'm going to see the bubbles. Right, now there's a good test, because you can just take a scoop of this and you can put it a little bit in a little bit of water, and if it floats, which it does, then it's sufficiently active and alive. So I've zeroed them, and I'm going to put in 275 grams. There's a little bit of starter in there, sourdough. So that's 275, and then I'm going to put in 500 grams of this fermenting mess. So what's that come to? 775, yeah. This is great bread, you know, you're going to really like this. Getting that bit right. Okay, so mix that. 100 grams of whole meal flour. I'll zero this time. There's a flour mill just a mile away. And I got this. Okay, it's 5 kilograms. Ooh, 6 kilograms of strong white flour. And it's an amazing mill. It's at Claybrook. And it's a water mill. Anyway, the water mill. Let's talk about the water mill. He's a great guy. And you can stand there and talk about all sorts of flours all day. And he was giving me advice on French baguettes. Yes, I think that's correct. It makes this shaggy mess. Right, that's it. And then we leave that for 30 minutes to autolyse, as they say in America, which is basically let the water distribute into the flour. Back in a minute. But while I leave it, I'm going to have a piece of my toast, and I thought I'd show you the end product. So this is what I made a couple of days ago. Not much left, but you can see the wonderful holes in it. That's a pretty good structure. And if you press it, it springs back. And it springs back because of the gluten. And that's going to be the next phase, which is called kneading. And there's my piece of toast I'm just going to eat, and a lovely piece of Stilton from the wedding. Right, I've been kneading a while, and one way to test it is how long it gets. And it's almost there, but not quite. Oh man. So I've kneaded it, left it to rest for 10 minutes, and it's relaxed and sagged a bit. And now we're going to put some, I think I call it putting shape into the gluten. If we get it off the workbench, and we're going to do a stretch and fold. So stretch it, and what you do is you break it into thirds. So I pulled it back to 1/3 across, Now you stretch this out, pull that back to 1/3 across, and then turn it round, pull it out, stretch it back, fold it to 1/3 across, and then on the fourth side. And what I'm doing here is you've got to kind of imagine rubber bands underneath here, and I'm pulling out these glutinous rubber bands, giving them some direction and alignment. And then my hands are a little bit wet, it's sort of sticking a bit. We're beginning to form it into a sphere, and then we're going to rest it again and do that 3 or 4 times. So stretch, fold it back 2/3, stretch, fold it back 2/3, stretch, fold it back 2/3, it's getting tougher. And then the final side, stretch it over the top. And it's a bit sticky, but you can see it's beginning to stand up. It's starting to get a structure inside it. And this is about the 3rd time I've done this. But I forgot to turn on the camera for the last one. Yeah. I've decided this is the last one I'm going to do. And what we do is we try and tuck it underneath, and then put it in a glass bowl to prove. I put a bit of oil in, stop it from sticking, and it proves for a long time, which is 3 or 4 hours, and then we've got to prove it again for a few hours. This takes all day, unfortunately, but it is good. So if I get it out, the oil helps. There we go, pretty neatly out of the bowl. And it's full of gas. It's probably got too much gas in it, because I'm going to knock some out now. But we stretch it and fold it again, and we're putting tension into the structure of the dough. We're going to do it all the way around again, and try and keep the gas bubbles in. Pretty neat. And then go underneath, and I'm going to put a bit of, am I going to put a bit of flour on? You've got to be careful of putting flour, it stops it sticking together. And then if you rotate it and drag it, you can get a tension fold, you can get tension into the gluten, and yeah, that's pretty neat. And I'm going to call it a day there. And then we're going to prove it in this bowl a bit more. So there's a tea towel, lots of flour to keep it free, and then pick up the beast, seam side up, because yeah, this is eventually going to be the top of the, I think it's going to be the top of the bake anyway, and you want it to be a bit rough. That'll become clear later. So there we go. And now we're going to prove it a little bit more, get a bit more gas in that. Good. There's been a change of circumstances. I got a phone call from my daughter. which sort of said come through for dinner, so I decided to bring my loaf of bread with me, which you can do with sourdough because it takes such a long time to ferment. So I put my oven gloves on. I'm ready for the next stage, which is to sip ice cold gin and tonic. And then I'll show you the dough. So here it is, and it's risen nicely. It's pretty big. The oven's been on for 45 minutes at full temperature, and we're going to put it, get it going now. So the oven is extremely hot. This is dry, and we tip out the dough, put it in the cast iron tin and slash it, and that improves the oven spring, the oven rise. Put the lid back on and put it in the oven. 20 minutes has passed, and I'm going to just show you how the bread has sprung. And I don't know how it's going to look, but it should be pretty good. I've turned the oven temperature down from full down to 215, and we're going to take the lid off as well. That is a good loaf of bread. So I've taken the lid off. We're now going to bake the rest for another 30 minutes at 215. And it looks very good. It's lovely and dark, which is what I wanted. Dark on the bottom and pretty dark on the top. Rock hard. That's perfect for sourdough. It will be. Oops, where's it gone? It will be very tasty. So there we have it. I've cooked it. It's here. You can hear how hard it is, which is what you want. And we've got to let it cool now for 30 minutes or maybe an hour before cracking into it with some cheese and maybe cold meats. It's the morning after the night before, when we had sourdough bread. I forget what it's called, it's a bit early. Sourdough bread and cheese, cold meats, bit of salad. And I thought I should show you the final loaf. You can see the open crumb. You want a hard, crusty, caramelized surface that gives it the depth of flavour. Get it really hot. And in fact that protects the bread inside and contains the moisture, keeps it fresher longer. They last quite a long time. So I'm going to go home now where I live and probably make another one, but I quite fancy making some Finnish rye bread.